Imagine you're having a conversation with someone. The words you speak could either lift them up or bring them down, change their day for the better, or leave them with lingering pain. It's incredible how a simple sentence can create ripples of emotions, influence relationships, and even shape the course of your own life. But how often do we think about the impact of our words before they leave our lips? Do you ever find yourself saying things you regret moments after speaking? Have you ever wished you could take back something hurtful or misunderstood? What if we told you that you have the power to transform the way you speak and improve your connections with others? It all begins with one simple act: thinking twice before you speak. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you're at work and a colleague makes a mistake. You could scold them, point out their flaws, or you could kindly offer guidance. Your words have the potential to either create tension or build trust. The choice is in your hands, and it all starts with being mindful of what you say. Welcome to Wisdom Writings, where we explore how to live with more wisdom, kindness, and awareness. In this video, we'll dive deep into why it's crucial to think twice before speaking, especially when our words can make such a significant impact on ourselves and others. We'll explore ancient wisdom, like the teachings of Buddhism, that offers practical tools for more thoughtful and compassionate speech. Before we dive deeper into this topic, I encourage you to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more insightful content to you. Please drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's create a space for meaningful discussion. And as we journey through this video together, let's all stay positive and grounded. Comment Namo Buddhari as a reminder to stay calm and peaceful throughout this process. Now, let's explore how to embrace the power of speech mindfully, beginning with the wisdom that can guide us through every word we speak. Stay with us until the end, and together, we'll unlock the key to speaking with greater purpose and clarity. The Buddhist foundation, right speech explained. In the teachings of Buddhism, one of the key elements that guide us towards a more peaceful, harmonious life is the practice of right speech. It is part of the Noble Eightfold Path, which outlines how we should live to cultivate wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. But what does right speech really mean, and why is it so important for us today? Right speech isn't just about choosing the right words. It's about speaking with a purpose. It's about speaking with compassion, clarity, and honesty, ensuring that what you say serves to build connection and understanding, not division or harm. The Buddha taught that speech should be truthful, gentle, and beneficial. If we speak in ways that are unkind or deceptive, we are only contributing to our suffering and the suffering of others. But how do we know when our speech is truly right? The first step is to check the intention behind the words we choose. Why are we speaking? Are we trying to express ourselves truthfully? Or are we looking to hurt, manipulate, or get attention? The Buddha emphasized that our words should come from a place of understanding and goodwill. When we speak, we should ask ourselves, will this help someone? Will it bring peace, or will it bring conflict? It's easy to get caught up in the moment and speak without thinking, especially when emotions are running high. We've all experienced those moments when we've said something we didn't mean, or when our words have caused pain without us even realizing it. This is why mindfulness plays such a crucial role in right speech. When we're mindful of our thoughts and feelings before speaking, we create space to choose words that are intentional and kind. Mindfulness helps us become aware of how our speech impacts the people around us. If you've ever been on the receiving end of harsh words, you know how deeply they can hurt. But on the flip side, kind and thoughtful words have the power to heal and uplift. The Buddhist teachings remind us that every word we speak creates karma, a ripple effect that can either create harmony or cause more suffering. This means that the way we communicate doesn't just affect others. It affects our own state of mind and our path to inner peace. When we speak with awareness, we begin to notice the effects of our words. For example, if we are quick to judge or criticize, We may feel a sense of temporary relief or satisfaction in the moment, but we also create negative energy. On the other hand, when we speak with kindness, even in difficult situations, we nurture peace within ourselves and in our relationships. The teachings of Buddhism also emphasize avoiding divisive speech. This is the tendency to speak in a way that creates conflict or separates people. Divisive speech can take many forms: gossip, spreading rumors, or even speaking in a way that creates unnecessary competition or anger. We all know how easy it is to get caught up in the drama of life, but speaking in ways that divide only harms us in the long run. It's important to remember that we are all connected, and when we use speech to tear others down, we are only harming ourselves as well. Similarly, harsh speech is another area that the Buddha warned us about. Words spoken in anger or frustration may feel cathartic in the moment, but they can leave deep emotional scars. The Buddha encouraged us to practice patience, especially in moments of tension or stress. Instead of reacting immediately, we can pause, breathe, and choose to speak with compassion, even when we're upset. Harsh words might feel like they release some pressure, but in reality, they only add to the burden of suffering for both the speaker and the listener. Another important aspect of right speech is truthful speech. The Buddha taught that we should always speak the truth, but not at the cost of someone else's well-being. Sometimes the truth can be painful, but that doesn't mean we should hide it. However, we must also ask ourselves, how will the truth be received? Is it necessary to speak it in this moment? The goal is not to speak harshly, but to express truth with understanding, love, and gentleness. The truth can be a powerful tool for healing, but it must be used with care. As we reflect on right speech, we begin to understand that it's not just about what we say, but also how we listen. Good communication involves both speaking and listening with mindfulness. When we listen deeply to others, we not only show respect, but we also create an environment where meaningful, compassionate speech can flourish. We all know that feeling when someone truly listens to us. It's as if our words matter, and that's incredibly powerful. Right speech invites us to be present and attentive, both when we speak and when we listen. Buddhism teaches that right speech is a practice, not a one-time achievement. It's something we must cultivate every day, with every conversation. We won't always get it right, but the key is to practice with an open heart and a willingness to learn. With each moment, we have the opportunity to speak with more awareness, more kindness, and more wisdom. It's also essential to remember that right speech isn't just about speaking with others. It extends to how we speak to ourselves. The words we say in our own minds could be just as powerful as those we speak aloud. If we constantly berate ourselves, call ourselves names, or tell ourselves we're not good enough, we're creating negative karma. But when we speak kindly to ourselves, encourage ourselves, and practice self-compassion, we foster inner peace and happiness. In Buddhism, right speech is part of a larger effort to live a life that minimizes harm and maximizes peace. It's not just about following a set of rules, but about understanding the deep interconnectedness of all beings. When we speak with intention, mindfulness, and compassion, we contribute to a world that is more peaceful, more connected, and more loving. The Buddha's teachings on speech are timeless because they address one of the most fundamental aspects of being human, our need to communicate. Whether we're speaking to friends, family, coworkers, or even strangers, our words hold the power to influence and transform. By following the path of right speech, we can begin to use our words to heal, connect, and build a world of greater understanding. The next time you speak, remember the words of the Buddha. Think before you speak. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Let your speech become a practice, a way of living that reflects the wisdom and compassion at the heart of Buddhism. As you develop more mindfulness in your speech, you'll find that your relationships deepen, your sense of peace grows, and the world around you becomes a little bit kinder. Right speech isn't just about choosing the right words. It's about choosing a path of compassion, mindfulness, and peace with every conversation you have. Words as seeds, the karmic ripple of speech. Let me take you on a journey today. Imagine you're planting seeds in a garden. Each seed is small, but over time, it grows, roots itself deep into the soil, and eventually blossoms into something much bigger. Some seeds grow into beautiful flowers, others into sturdy trees, and some into weeds that take over everything around them. The same goes for our words. Every word we speak is like a seed planted in the minds and hearts of others. Over time, those words take root, and just like any plant, they will grow and bear fruit. You may not realize it, but when you speak, you are planting seeds. Every word, every sentence, whether spoken in anger, love, joy, or frustration, is something that will eventually come back to you. This is what the Buddha meant when he spoke about karma, the idea that our actions, words, and intentions create a ripple effect that returns to us in one way or another. Think about this. Have you ever spoken something in the heat of the moment, only to later realize that the words you said were more harmful than you intended? Maybe you hurt a friend, or said something that created tension at work, or even in your family. That's because words are powerful. Once they're spoken, they are out in the world, and just like seeds in the ground, they begin to take root in the lives of those who hear them. But there's more to this than just the impact on others. Our words also create our own reality. When we speak with kindness, compassion, and wisdom, we are planting seeds of peace, understanding, and goodwill. Over time, these seeds bloom into positive experiences. The more we speak with love and care, the more we cultivate an environment of harmony around us. Our own lives are enriched by the kindness we offer to others. On the other hand, if we speak with negativity, hatred, or anger, we plant seeds that can eventually lead to resentment, misunderstandings, and conflict. These seeds will eventually grow into bitter fruits that we, too, will have to deal with. When we speak harshly or impulsively, we not only harm others, but we also harm ourselves. The energy we put out into the world returns to us, shaping our own experiences in ways we may not always recognize. It's easy to forget that every word we speak holds power. We live in a world where communication is constant. We talk to people at work, with family, friends, and even strangers on the street. But how often do we pause to consider the weight of the words we use? How often do we think before we speak? In the rush of daily life, it's tempting to react without thinking, to say the first thing that comes to mind without considering how it might affect someone else. But here's the thing. Speaking thoughtfully is not just about being careful. It's about recognizing the deeper impact of our words. The Buddha taught that right speech is one of the key elements of the Eightfold Path. Right speech means speaking truthfully, avoiding lies and gossip, and speaking in a way that promotes harmony and understanding. It's not just about saying what's true, but also what's helpful. In Buddhism, speech is a tool to spread compassion and to bring about peace in the world. Each time we speak, we have an opportunity to make the world a little better. When you choose your words with care, you are more likely to speak with intention and clarity. Instead of reacting out of anger or frustration, you become more mindful, more aware of how your words might affect others. And when you speak from a place of mindfulness, your words have the power to heal, to inspire, and to uplift. Consider the simple act of saying something kind to someone who is struggling. When you offer a word of encouragement or a compliment, you might not see the immediate effect, but you've planted a seed. Over time, that small act of kindness can grow into something much bigger. It can build trust, strengthen relationships, and even inspire others to do the same. On the flip side, if you speak in anger or frustration, you might unknowingly plant seeds of doubt, hurt, or resentment that can grow into lasting bitterness or conflict. This idea is also tied to the Buddhist concept of interconnectedness. In the same way that all things in nature are connected, Our words have a ripple effect that touches everyone around us. We may not always see the immediate consequences of our words, but just as a pebble creates ripples in water, our words spread outward and touch the lives of others in ways we might never fully understand. When we speak with love and compassion, we not only create positive energy for ourselves, but for everyone we encounter. When you speak, consider the power you hold. Are you planting seeds of peace, or are you sowing discord? Are your words nurturing or damaging? The choice is yours. Every word you speak is a chance to make a difference. The Buddhist teachings remind us that our speech is not just a tool for communication. It's a tool for transformation. By choosing our words carefully, we can create a better world, one conversation at a time. So, next time you speak, remember that your words are like seeds. They carry power. They have the potential to grow into something beautiful or something harmful. Take a moment to pause, breathe, and consider what kind of seeds you are planting in the world. And remember, just as the gardener tends to their plants, you too must tend to your words, ensuring they're always planted with wisdom, care, and compassion. By choosing to speak thoughtfully, you contribute to a cycle of positivity and growth. And over time, you'll see that the seeds you've planted in the minds and hearts of others return to you in the form of kindness, understanding, and peace. Silence is a virtue, the strength of saying nothing. In our fast-paced world, where we are constantly encouraged to speak up, it is easy to forget the true power of silence. But sometimes, the most profound wisdom comes not from what we say, but from what we choose not to say. Silence is not a void. It is a space of reflection, understanding, and peace. In Buddhism, silence is not seen as the absence of noise, but as the presence of mindfulness. Imagine a moment when you are about to say something in anger, frustration, or impatience. You feel the words rise within you, ready to spill out, but there is a pause. That pause, that moment of silence, is where true strength lies. It is in that space where you have the power to choose your words wisely or choose none at all. Silence becomes a shield, protecting both your peace and the peace of those around you. In the teachings of the Buddha, silence is often valued as a powerful tool for inner peace. Buddha himself, in many of his teachings, emphasized that speaking without mindfulness can lead to suffering, not just for the one spoken to, but for the one speaking as well. When we speak impulsively, we often say things that we regret later. We may hurt others, but we also harm ourselves by adding to the noise in our own minds. By choosing silence, we break this cycle and find the space for clarity and calmness. There's great strength in silence. And it's important to understand that silence does not mean weakness or passivity. In fact, it requires tremendous courage and discipline to stay quiet when a world around you urges you to speak. It is easy to fill every moment with words, to offer our opinions, to argue our point of view. But true wisdom lies in knowing when silence speaks louder than words. Sometimes, the most powerful response is to simply listen, or to allow things to unfold without interference. Think of a time when you held your tongue. Maybe it was during a disagreement, or when you could have easily criticized someone, but chose not to. In that moment, did you feel lighter? Did you feel a sense of relief, knowing that your silence created a peaceful space, rather than adding fuel to the fire? That's the strength of silence. It is not about suppressing your feelings or avoiding confrontation. It's about understanding that not every thought needs to be verbalized. Silence gives us the opportunity to pause and reflect. It allows us to listen, not just to the words of others, but to the deeper, quieter voice within ourselves. That inner voice often carries the wisdom that we need in order to make better decisions. When we speak out of turn, without giving ourselves the chance to reflect, we often miss this opportunity. In Buddhist practice, silence is closely tied to the idea of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, aware of our thoughts, feelings, and actions without judgment. When we practice mindfulness, we become more aware of the impact of our words. We realize that every word has energy, and that energy can either create harmony or discord. By choosing silence, we're giving ourselves the space to be mindful, to think before we speak, and to choose words that contribute to peace rather than chaos. In conversations, especially those that are emotionally charged, it can be easy to slip into reactive speech. We want to defend ourselves, prove a point, or express our emotions. But when we speak from a place of reactivity, we often say things we don't mean, things that could hurt others and damage relationships. Silence, on the other hand, creates room for response rather than reaction. It gives us the chance to process our emotions, consider the feelings of others, and choose words that are more thoughtful and compassionate. There's a beautiful Zen story that speaks to the power of silence. A master once asked his students, "What is the most important thing in life?" One student answered, "To speak the truth." Another said, "To act kindly." But the master remained silent. After a long pause, he said, "Silence is the most important thing. It is in silence that you hear the truth and understand the heart of kindness." The students were puzzled, but as they reflected, they realized that in silence, they could truly listen to themselves, to others, and to the world around them. In our daily lives, we can practice this kind of silence. It's not about avoiding conversation or withdrawing from social interactions, but about choosing our words carefully and embracing the moments of stillness that allow us to connect more deeply with ourselves and others. When we are silent, we give ourselves the opportunity to process what is being said, to reflect on our own thoughts, and to approach situations with a clear mind. Silence also helps us break free from the constant need for validation through words. In today's world, we often feel compelled to speak for the sake of being heard or seen. But the truth is, we don't always need to fill the silence with words. Sometimes, our presence alone can be enough. Just as a river flows gently through a valley, without noise or fuss, our actions and silence can speak volumes. The more we practice silence, the more we realize how often we speak without thinking. Silence teaches us the importance of restraint. It reminds us that not every thought needs to be voiced, and not every opinion needs to be shared. It teaches us that true communication is not just about words. It's about connection, understanding, and compassion. One of the most powerful aspects of silence is its ability to invite others into the conversation. When we speak less, we allow others the space to express themselves. We become better listeners, and through listening, we foster deeper, more meaningful connections. This is especially important in relationships, where true understanding comes not just from speaking, but from hearing and responding thoughtfully. In the practice of meditation, silence is the foundation of all insight. It is in silence that we hear the voice of our own heart, the wisdom that lies within us all. Through meditation, we learn to sit with our thoughts and emotions without judgment, allowing them to pass like clouds in the sky. The more we practice silence in meditation, the more we can carry that same sense of peace and presence into our everyday lives, including our conversations. As you go about your day, take a moment to reflect on the power of silence. Notice when you feel the urge to speak and ask yourself, is this the right moment to speak? Will my words help or harm? By practicing silence, even for just a few moments, you'll begin to notice how much more mindful you become. You'll discover that silence is not an absence, it is a presence, one that holds great power to heal, to connect, and to guide. Silence doesn't mean that we should avoid difficult conversations or suppress our feelings. It simply means that we should approach our words with care, and that sometimes saying nothing is the wisest choice. In the end, silence is not emptiness. It is a space for deeper understanding, for connection, and for peace. In the stillness of silence, we can find clarity, and from that clarity, we can speak with greater compassion, wisdom, and truth. Mind before mouth, cultivating mindfulness in communication. In a world of words, we often forget one simple truth. Before we speak, we must first check our minds. The mind is like a wild river, constantly flowing with thoughts, emotions, and impulses. If we let these flow unchecked, our words will often mirror that chaos. Have you ever had a moment where you said something you didn't mean, just because you were caught up in the heat of the moment? It's like an arrow shot before you can even think about the target. Once released, it cannot be taken back. But if we learn to pause, just for a moment, we can change everything. This pause is the key to mindfulness in communication. Before speaking, it's important to check in with ourselves. What are we truly feeling? Why are we about to say what we are saying? Is it necessary? Will it help? These are the questions we should ask ourselves before words leave our mouths. The Buddha once taught that we should not speak unless our words pass through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? If we can answer yes to all 3, then we can speak with clarity and compassion. If any of the answers are no, we must reconsider our words. This simple practice helps us move away from knee-jerk reactions and toward intentional, mindful speech. Imagine you are in a heated argument. Every fiber in your being wants to defend yourself, to say things that will make the other person see you right. But in that moment, take a deep breath. Think about what your words will bring. Will they build a bridge, or will they build a wall? Will your words soften the situation, or will they escalate it? The difference between peace and conflict often lies in this moment of pause. Mindfulness isn't just a practice you do while meditating. It's a practice you carry with you in every conversation. It's about being aware of your thoughts and emotions without letting them control you. It's about being present in the moment and choosing your words carefully, as if they are precious jewels. Every time we speak, we are creating an opportunity to either bring peace or disturbance, understanding or misunderstanding. Consider the way you speak to yourself. How often do we criticize ourselves, speak harshly, or judge our own thoughts? This internal dialogue shapes our external communication. If we cannot be gentle with our own minds, how can we be gentle with others? The path to mindful communication begins within. When we cultivate kindness and understanding in our own hearts, it naturally extends to the way we interact with the world. The Buddha spoke often about the importance of controlling our minds. He knew that the root of suffering often lies in untrained thoughts. These unexamined thoughts can lead to impulsive speech that causes harm. When we let our emotions take over, we may say things we don't truly mean, or things that hurt others without thinking of the consequences. But when we practice mindfulness, we give ourselves the power to control our speech. We can choose our words thoughtfully, with awareness of the impact they will have on others and ourselves. This practice of mindfulness in communication is not just about what we say, but how we say it. The tone of our voice, the energy we bring to the conversation, all contribute to the message we are sending. Think about it. 2 people can say the same words, but the feeling behind them can be completely different. One person might say, "I'm sorry," with genuine remorse, while another might say the same words but with a tone that is insincere or defensive. It's not just the words, but the heart behind them that matters. So, how can we begin to incorporate mindfulness into our daily conversations? It starts with awareness. Before speaking, take a moment to breathe, to check in with yourself. Are you speaking from a place of love, or from a place of fear or anger? Are you trying to be understood, or are you trying to win? The more aware we become of our intentions, the more mindful we can be in choosing words that reflect our true values. We must also be patient with ourselves. Mindfulness is a practice, and like any practice, it takes time. We won't always get it right. There will be moments when we react impulsively or speak in ways we later regret. But this is where the beauty of mindfulness comes in. It allows us to learn from those moments and grow. It teaches us to be kind to ourselves, to forgive ourselves, and to do better next time. Think of mindfulness as a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger it becomes. In time, choosing your words with intention will become second nature. You'll find yourself speaking with more clarity, more kindness, and more compassion. And when you do speak, your words will have the power to uplift, heal, and inspire. As we move through life, we are presented with countless opportunities to speak. Every conversation, every interaction is a chance to practice mindfulness. It could be with a friend, a colleague, a stranger, or even in the silence of our own thoughts. If we approach each moment with awareness and compassion, we will find that our words begin to reflect the peace within us. And when that happens, our lives and the lives of those around us are transformed. So, the next time you find yourself about to speak, pause for just a moment. Check in with your mind. Is this coming from a place of peace? Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? In that moment of stillness, you will find the power to speak with wisdom, to choose your words carefully, and to create a world where your speech reflects your highest values. This is the path of mindful communication, a path that leads not only to more peaceful interactions, but also to a deeper understanding of ourselves and others. And remember, speaking with mindfulness is not just about avoiding harm. It's about creating harmony. It's about using your words to build a better world, one conversation at a time. So, let every word you speak be a reflection of the calm, clear, and compassionate mind you are cultivating within. In the practice of mindfulness, we become aware of the power of speech. And with that awareness, we unlock the potential to transform our relationships, our communities, and ultimately, our lives. The mirror within. Speech as a reflection of inner peace. In the quiet moments of the day, when you sit alone and reflect, have you ever wondered where your words come from? When you speak, is it your true self that is speaking, or are your words simply echoes of the mind's constant chatter? To understand the power of our words, we must first look inward, for our speech is often a mirror of our inner state. Imagine for a moment that every time you speak, you're not just sharing information or telling a story. You are revealing something deeper about who you are. Our words reflect the state of our hearts and minds. If we are at peace within, our words will carry a sense of calm and clarity. But if we are unsettled, anxious, or angry, our words will carry that energy, often hurting those around us without us even realizing it. It's easy to think that our words exist independently from our inner world, but in reality, they are closely intertwined. Just like a mirror reflects the image you present to it, your speech reflects what is happening inside you. When you speak harshly or thoughtlessly, it often shows that there is turmoil or discomfort within. When you speak kindly, with patience and understanding, it reveals that there is peace in your heart. This is why in Buddhism we often hear that right speech is not just about the words we choose, but also about the state of mind we cultivate before we speak. The Buddha taught that we must learn to cultivate mindfulness in everything we do, and this includes the way we communicate. Speaking from a place of peace and wisdom requires us to first create that peace within ourselves. It's like a well that can only give pure water if it has been cleaned from the inside. If the well is filled with mud, it will only give dirty water. Similarly, if our mind is full of anger, fear, or doubt, our speech will reflect that, no matter how hard we try to mask it. But how do we cultivate this inner peace that will allow us to speak from a place of clarity and compassion? The first step is to recognize that our words have power, not only over others, but over ourselves. When we speak kindly, we not only uplift others, but we also create positive energy within. When we speak harshly, we contribute to our own suffering, as well as that of those around us. Our speech, then, becomes a reflection of our own mental and emotional state. The practice of mindfulness can help us in this journey. By becoming aware of our thoughts before they are spoken, we give ourselves a moment to pause and choose the words that will best reflect the peace we seek within. This moment of awareness is like the stillness before the storm, where we have the chance to choose whether we want to react impulsively or respond with wisdom. There's a saying in Buddhism, when the mind is at peace, the world will appear peaceful. This truth applies not only to how we view the world, but also to how we interact with it. If we approach our speech with the same mindfulness and calm that we cultivate in meditation, our words can transform the world around us. We can begin to see how the act of speaking with intention can create harmony both within and outside of us. When we take the time to reflect on our words, we start to notice patterns in how we communicate. Do we speak out of habit? Or do we speak because we have something meaningful to share? Do we speak to hurt, to dominate, or to control? Or do we speak to offer comfort, wisdom, and understanding? The way we speak is a reflection of how we view ourselves and the world. When we are at peace with ourselves, our words will carry that peace and wisdom, just as the clear sky reflects the calmness of the sea. It's also important to remember that our words are not always about what is said, but how it is said. Tone, body language, and timing all play a role in communication. A single word, spoken with warmth and sincerity, can have a profound effect, while the same word, spoken harshly, can create conflict. This is why the practice of mindfulness is so important, not just in the content of our speech, but in the delivery as well. The Buddha often spoke about the importance of right intention in our actions and words. He taught that before we speak, we must check our intention. Are we speaking to cause harm, to inflate our own ego, or to manipulate others? Or are we speaking with the intention of offering truth, compassion, and peace? When we begin to check our intention before we speak, we start to align our words with our deeper values and wisdom. It's not always easy to speak from a place of inner peace. We live in a world filled with distractions, stress, and emotions that can quickly cloud our judgment. But the practice of mindfulness gives us the tools to navigate these challenges. It allows us to pause, breathe, and choose our words with care, so that we can reflect the calmness and clarity that we are striving to cultivate within ourselves. Over time, this practice begins to change the way we communicate. We start to notice that our conversations are more harmonious, that we feel more connected to others, and that our words carry more weight. People begin to respond differently to us, not because we're saying the right things, but because our speech is coming from a place of sincerity, peace, and understanding. In moments of conflict or challenge, we may still struggle with our words. But the more we practice mindfulness, the more we create the space to respond rather than react. When we respond from a place of peace, our words have the power to heal, to soothe, and to bring about positive change. Our speech becomes a tool for transformation, not only for others, but for ourselves as well. The next time you find yourself speaking, take a moment to ask yourself, where is this coming from? Is this a reflection of my inner peace? Is this the kind of speech that I want to put into the world? The more we ask ourselves these questions, the more we will begin to speak with intention, kindness, and wisdom. And so, the practice of mindful speech becomes a lifelong journey. It's not about perfection, but about making small, consistent efforts to align our words with our inner peace. Each time we speak with awareness, we create ripples of positive energy that can spread far and wide. Our words become not just a reflection of our inner state, but a powerful tool for creating the world we wish to see. As you move forward, remember that your words are powerful. They are a reflection of who you are and the state of your mind. By cultivating inner peace, you begin to speak with more compassion, wisdom, and clarity. And in doing so, you help create a more peaceful world, one word at a time. Compassionate communication, speaking with loving kindness. In the silence between words, there lies a choice to speak with compassion, kindness, and understanding. When we speak to others, we hold in our hands the ability to shape their world, even if only for a moment. But too often, we forget this power and let our words spill out without thought or care. We become careless, impatient, and harsh. It's easy to speak in a way that we later regret. But the teachings of Buddhism show us that when we choose to speak with loving kindness, our words not only help others, but they also help ourselves. The Buddha once said, "Words have the power to both destroy and heal." When words are both true and kind, they can change our world. Think about that for a moment. When we speak the truth, but we speak it with love, it carries a different energy. It becomes a tool for healing, for connection, rather than a weapon of division or harm. So often, we mistake honesty for harshness. We think that speaking the truth means we must be blunt, even cruel. But the Buddha teaches us that the path of compassion is one where we can be honest without causing suffering. Have you ever noticed the difference between someone who speaks from a place of warmth and someone who speaks with coldness? The person who speaks with love and understanding can lift your spirits, even in the most difficult of times. On the other hand, harsh words can stick with you, echoing in your mind long after the conversation has ended. The impact of kindness is long-lasting, much more so than a momentary sting caused by angry or careless words. Imagine you are in a disagreement with someone. Your emotions are high, your frustration building. It feels so easy to let your words fly, to say whatever comes to mind in the heat of the moment. But if you pause, even for a second, and remember the power of compassion, you might choose your words differently. Instead of attacking the other person, you might say, "I feel upset because," or "I don't agree with that, but I want to understand your point of view." These words are not only truthful, but they are gentle. They create an opportunity for dialogue, not conflict. Buddhism teaches us that everything we say should be rooted in right intention. This means that before speaking, we should ask ourselves, is this necessary? Is it true? Is it kind? If our words don't meet these criteria, it's better to stay silent than to speak words that could harm someone else. Sometimes, saying nothing at all is the most compassionate choice. In our fast-paced world, where conversations are quick and often surface level, it can be difficult to slow down and think carefully before speaking. But when we choose to speak with loving kindness, we transform not only our relationships with others, but also our relationship with ourselves. We begin to cultivate a sense of inner peace, knowing that the words we speak are in alignment with our values, and that peace flows into every part of our life, creating more harmony, reducing conflict, and fostering deeper connections. Think about how you feel when someone speaks to you with genuine kindness. It's like a warm light in a cold room. It makes you feel heard, understood, and valued. Now, imagine if we could all choose to speak with that same kindness. What kind of world would we create? A world where people feel safe, respected, and appreciated. A world where words are used to heal, not hurt. Compassionate communication is not about being perfect. It's not about never making mistakes or always having the right words to say. It's about being present and mindful, about choosing to respond with empathy and care, especially when the situation is difficult. It's about understanding that we all have our struggles, and that sometimes the best thing we can do is speak gently and listen deeply. There's great power in silence, too. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is simply listen. Often, people just need someone to hear them. They don't need solutions or advice. They just need someone to acknowledge their feelings and experiences. In these moments, your silence can be a beautiful expression of compassion. It says, "I see you. I hear you. I understand." When we speak with compassion, we also begin to listen with compassion. Our communication becomes a two-way exchange, not just of words, but of understanding. And that understanding is the foundation of all meaningful relationships, whether with family, friends, colleagues, or even strangers. One of the Buddhist teachings is to treat others as we would want to be treated. If we want others to speak to us with kindness, shouldn't we do the same for them? If we want to feel heard and understood, shouldn't we give that same gift to others? The simple act of choosing kind words over harsh ones can transform the dynamic of any conversation. And when we do this, we not only improve the lives of those around us, but we also create a space for our own personal growth. By speaking with compassion, we cultivate the qualities of patience, humility, and love within ourselves. When we communicate with loving kindness, we become part of something much larger than ourselves. We contribute to a culture of respect and understanding, where every word spoken is a building block in the creation of a more peaceful, compassionate world. And this, I believe, is the essence of right speech. Not just speaking kindly to others, but also being mindful of the energy we bring into the world through our words. In a world where it's so easy to react impulsively, to lash out when we feel hurt, speaking with compassion is an act of great strength. It requires us to pause, to breathe, to reflect, and to choose the path of kindness over the path of anger. And every time we choose this path, we take a step closer to inner peace and greater wisdom. So the next time you're about to speak, take a moment to check your intention. Ask yourself, is this helpful? Is this kind? Is this necessary? And if the answer is yes, let your words flow with love. If the answer is no, sometimes the best choice is silence. This simple practice, rooted in the teachings of Buddhism, has the power to change not only the way we communicate, but the very fabric of our lives. When we speak with loving kindness, we begin to see the world through new eyes. Eyes filled with compassion, understanding, and peace. In this world of noise and haste, let's choose to speak words that heal, that uplift, and that connect us all. For in the end, it is not the loudest voices that leave the greatest impact, but the voices that are spoken with love. And that love, in turn, will transform us all. The danger of harsh words. How speech can harm or heal. We all have moments when our words feel sharp, like an arrow aimed at the heart of someone we care about. In the heat of the moment, when we're frustrated or angry, it can seem almost impossible to hold back that cutting remark. But have you ever stopped to think about the long-lasting effect those words can have? Words are like seeds. They grow into something much bigger than we first expect. When we speak harshly, we plant the seed of bitterness, anger, and resentment. It's easy to forget this in the moment, but the truth is, once those words are spoken, they cannot be taken back. They linger in the air, and their impact ripples out, often in ways we don't see. Buddhism teaches us that speech is a powerful tool. The Buddha spoke about the importance of right speech, one of the key aspects of the Eightfold Path. Right speech is about speaking in a way that is truthful, harmonious, and kind. This doesn't mean we should avoid difficult conversations or pretend that everything is okay when it's not. But it does mean that we should choose our words carefully, especially when we are upset. Harsh words, even when they are true, can hurt more than we realize. Consider this. Have you ever had someone say something to you that cut deep? Even if it was just one sentence, those words may have stayed with you, haunting your thoughts long after the conversation ended. Maybe it was a criticism, an insult, or something said in anger. The words might have been forgotten by the person who spoke them, but you carry the weight of them for days, weeks, or even years. That's the power of speech. It can either heal or harm, build bridges or burn them. Now think about a time when someone spoke to you with kindness, even when they had every reason to be angry. Their words might have surprised you, softened your heart, and made you feel seen and understood. You remember those moments because kindness in speech has the power to heal. Just as harsh words leave scars, kind words can bring peace and calm. They help us build relationships, solve problems, and create harmony in places that are full of tension. In Buddhism, we are taught that words come from the mind. They reflect our inner state, our emotions, and our intentions. When we speak in anger, it's not just the other person who suffers. We do too. Harsh speech keeps us trapped in negative feelings. It's like holding on to a burning coal. The more we hold it, the more it hurts us. And even if we throw it at someone else, we are still left with the burn in our own heart. But here's the thing, we always have a choice. In every moment, we can choose to pause before we speak. Instead of reacting impulsively, we can take a breath and reflect on the impact our words will have. Is this something I need to say right now? Is this helpful, or will only make things worse? When we take that moment to reflect, we can often find a way to express ourselves without causing harm. Think about the difference between reacting and responding. When we react, we allow our emotions to take over, and our words are often sharp and hurtful. But when we respond, we take a step back, we breathe, and we speak with awareness. We allow ourselves to act with intention, not impulsively. This is where the wisdom of Buddhism can guide us. Buddhism doesn't just teach us to avoid harm. It teaches us how to actively seek to do good with our words, to use speech as a tool for healing and peace. It's important to recognize that we can't control how others will react to our words. Sometimes, even when we speak kindly, others may take offense. But that doesn't mean we should stop choosing kindness. The more we practice mindful speech, the more we build a habit of speaking in ways that support and uplift others, rather than tear them down. In the end, it's about our own integrity, about living in alignment with our values, and using our words as a force for good. Remember, the Buddha said, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." In those moments when we feel the urge to speak harshly, we can ask ourselves, will this bring peace? Will this add to the calm or stir up the storm? If it's not going to bring peace, perhaps it's best to remain silent or to speak in a way that is gentle, even when we are upset. Imagine a world where everyone took the time to choose their words carefully, where harshness was replaced with understanding, and where our speech was always aligned with compassion. How much better would our relationships be? How much more peaceful would our communities feel? We've all experienced the pain of harsh words, whether spoken by ourselves or others. But we also know the healing power of kind words. The more we practice mindful speech, the more we become aware of the impact our words have, and the more we become the kind of person who uses speech to bring peace, to lift others up, and to foster understanding. So, the next time you feel the urge to speak harshly, remember, words are powerful. They can heal or harm, create love or destroy it. And you have the ability to choose. It's not always easy, but with practice, mindfulness, and awareness, we can learn to speak in ways that reflect our highest values and bring more peace into the world. The noble listener, listening deeply before speaking. Sit with me for a while. Let's not rush. Today, I will not ask you to speak. Today, I ask you to listen. Not just with your ears, but with your full attention, your whole being. You see, many people talk, but few truly listen. And yet, the one who listens with care and silence speaks with wisdom when the time comes. In my years of sitting under trees, watching rivers flow and leaves fall, I have learned something simple but powerful. Listening is a form of love. It is an act of kindness. Most people speak only to reply. They wait for their turn, not to understand, but to respond. That is not listening. That is noise waiting to happen. When someone speaks to you, they're not just sharing words. They're showing you a piece of their mind, their heart, their world. If you listen closely, with stillness and presence, you will hear much more than what is being said. You will hear emotions. You will hear fear hiding behind anger. You will hear loneliness hidden in laughter. You will hear hope even in silence. The Buddha taught that before we speak, we must reflect. But before we reflect, we must first listen. Right speech begins with right listening. It is not possible to speak wisely if you have not listened with an open heart. When someone speaks, and you are already forming your reply in your mind. You are not present. You are lost in yourself. And when we are lost in ourselves, we miss the other completely. Let me tell you a story. Once, a young monk came to the master and said, "I have learned many things. I am ready to teach others." The master poured tea into the young monk's cup. He kept pouring. The cup overflowed. "Master," the monk cried, "the cup is full. No more will go in." The master smiled gently and said, "Yes, and that is like your mind, already full. How can you learn? How can you truly hear others if you do not first empty your cup? To be a noble listener, you must become empty. Let go of your judgments, your urge to reply, your desire to be right. Just listen, and in that silence, you will learn more than any book could teach you." Most arguments happen because no one is really listening. Think about it. How many times have you spoken not to solve, not to understand, but just to win? Winning an argument is easy. Winning someone's trust through listening, that is much harder, but is far more valuable. When you listen deeply, people feel seen. Not just heard, but seen. They feel respected, honored, valued. And when someone feels truly heard, they soften. Their anger becomes lighter. Their fear becomes smaller. Their voice becomes calmer. In Buddhism, we call this deep listening or compassionate listening. It means giving the gift of your full attention. No distractions. No need to fix anything. Just being there. Just being still. That alone can heal wounds that words never could. This practice is not only for monks or spiritual seekers. It is for you, in your home, with your family, at work, in friendships. Imagine a world where people will truly listen to each other. There would be less shouting, less pain, less misunderstanding. Peace would not be a dream. It would begin with each conversation. You may be wondering, what if the other person is angry, rude, or hurtful? Do I still listen? Yes, but listen not to agree and not to be hurt. Listen to understand where their pain is coming from. Most harsh words are born from unhealed wounds. Listening does not mean accepting cruelty, but it means not adding more fire. Fire cannot be put out by fire. Only water can calm the flame. In your silence, you can still hold strength. Deep listening is not weak. It is powerful. It requires discipline, awareness, and humility. And these are the marks of true wisdom. There's another teaching from the Zen tradition. When the mouth is open, the ears are closed. But when the mouth is closed, the ears open wide. When you stop trying to speak first, you allow yourself to truly understand. And in that space, the right words will come, not from ego, but from clarity. Speak only when your words are better than silence. But to know when that moment comes, you must first learn to sit with silence. Not just the outer silence, but the inner stillness where listening happens. That stillness is where wisdom lives. Many people speak with clever words, but few speak with a peaceful heart. A peaceful heart is born from listening. When you listen to others, you also learn to listen to yourself. Your own thoughts, your own emotions, they become clearer when you're not always speaking over them. In meditation, we learn to listen to the breath, to the body, to the present moment. The same is true in daily life. Every time someone speaks to you, it is a chance to practice awareness, patience, and kindness. So the next time someone comes to you, whether with joy or pain, give them your silence. Give them your presence. And later, when it is your turn to speak, your words will come from a place of deep care, not reaction. That is the way of the noble listener. I tell you this not because I am perfect in it, but because I have seen its truth. I have seen relationships heal through listening. I have seen strangers become friends through silence. I have seen a single nod of quiet understanding do more than 1,000 clever replies. Let your ears be your greatest teacher. Let your stillness be your greatest strength. Speak less, and you will see more. Listen more, and you will speak with the voice of the heart, not the ego. This is the way of noble speech. But before that, it is the way of noble listening. Follow this path, and your words will no longer be weapons or noise. They will become offerings of peace. Let's walk this path together. Quietly, mindfully, one word and one silence at a time. Speech in daily life. Applying wisdom in modern conversations. In today's world, conversations happen constantly, whether we are speaking to friends, family, coworkers, or even strangers. It seems like communication is everywhere. And yet, how often do we pause to consider the weight our words carry? The challenge is that, with so many distractions, it's easy to forget the power we hold when we speak. But let's take a moment to reflect on how, in every word we say, there lies an opportunity to practice wisdom, kindness, and mindfulness, just as the Buddha taught. Think about a typical day in your life. You wake up, go to work, speak with your family, maybe chat with a friend over lunch. In every moment, you are speaking to others, but are you truly listening to what they are saying, or are you simply waiting for your turn to respond? How many times do we speak before really taking in emotions, needs, and perspectives of the people around us? True, thoughtful communication isn't just about what we say. It's about how well we understand the people we are speaking to. The Buddha taught us about the importance of right speech, which emphasizes not only the content of our words, but also the intention behind them. Right speech encourages us to speak truthfully, kindly, and in a way that brings peace rather than conflict. In a world filled with constant noise, practicing right speech in our daily conversations can transform the way we relate to each other. But how can we apply this wisdom to our everyday exchanges? Imagine the next time you're in a conversation, whether it's with a loved one or a colleague. Take a moment to pause before speaking. What is the intention behind your words? Are you trying to express kindness, understanding, or support? Or are you simply reacting out of frustration or habit? When you take a pause, it gives you a moment to reflect on how your words will affect the other person. This is the beginning of mindful communication. In our busy lives, we often get caught up in the rush of everyday tasks. We hurry through conversations, often not giving them the attention they deserve. But when we rush, we risk missing out on the deeper connection that could come from truly listening and responding with care. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where you were just waiting for the other person to finish speaking so you could make your point? When we do this, we forget the essence of true dialogue, which is not about winning a conversation, but about understanding and being understood. When we communicate mindfully, we can create a space for mutual respect and openness. This doesn't mean we have to be perfect in our speech. It's about becoming more aware of how we are using our words and how those words impact the people around us. It's about being present in the moment and offering words that uplift, heal, and inspire. A simple example from daily life. Let's say you're having a disagreement with someone. It's easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment, saying things you may not mean. But what if, instead of reacting impulsively, you paused and took a deep breath before speaking? What if you took a moment to consider the feelings of the other person and responded with compassion instead of defensiveness? This small shift can make all the difference in the quality of your communication and the strength of your relationships. The power of speech in our daily lives is immense. When we speak, we are shaping the world around us. Each conversation is a chance to create understanding or confusion, to build harmony or stir conflict. When we speak with wisdom, we create an environment where others feel heard, valued, and respected. This kind of mindful communication can transform not only our relationships, but also our own inner peace. In Buddhist teachings, it's said that our words are a reflection of our inner state. If we are filled with anger or frustration, those emotions will inevitably spill out in our words. But if we cultivate a peaceful mind through practices like meditation, our words become more aligned with our true nature, calm, compassionate, and wise. So, the next time you find yourself in a conversation, take a moment to check in with yourself. How are you feeling? What's your inner state? This awareness can help you communicate in a way that reflects your deepest values and intentions. And this is where daily life intersects with the teachings of the Buddha. We don't need to wait for a special moment or a peaceful retreat to practice mindful speech. We can start right here, right now, in the conversations we're having every day. It's about making each interaction a practice of awareness, kindness, and clarity. Whether it's with your partner, your child, or even a stranger at the grocery store, there's always an opportunity to apply the wisdom of right speech. The Buddha's teachings were not just about lofty ideals. They were practical guides for living a better life, right here in the world we live in. When we bring mindfulness into our daily conversations, we are following the path to a more peaceful, harmonious life. And this doesn't mean we always have to have the perfect words to say. It simply means we approach each conversation with the intention to speak with honesty, respect, and compassion. So how do we begin? The first step is awareness. Notice how often you speak without thinking. Notice the tone you use, the words you choose, and the impact they have on others. Are they words of encouragement, understanding, and love? Or are they words of frustration, judgment, and criticism? Becoming aware of our speech is the first step toward transforming it. From there, we can start to make small shifts toward more mindful communication. It's also important to remember that silence can be just as powerful as speech. In our fast-paced world, we often feel the pressure to fill every moment with words. But sometimes, the most meaningful conversations happen in the quiet spaces between words. Taking a moment of silence to reflect before responding can allow us to choose our words with more care and wisdom. As you continue through your day, take these simple practices with you. Pause before speaking. Listen deeply. Speak kindly. And above all, be aware of the power of your words. In every conversation, there is an opportunity to practice the teachings of the Buddha, to cultivate peace, and to build stronger, more compassionate relationships. This is how wisdom is applied in daily life. Each conversation is a chance to grow, to connect, and to bring more mindfulness into the world. So, let your speech reflect the calm, peace, and understanding that you wish to see in the world. By doing so, you will not only transform your relationships with others, but also find a deeper sense of harmony within yourself. And this is the true power of speech. When it is used with intention, mindfulness, and wisdom, it can change the world one word at a time. The speech of the enlightened, what the Buddha taught through his words. The Buddha, a man who had experienced the deepest suffering and the highest joys, knew the immense power that words could hold. He understood how speech could either uplift someone's spirit or shatter their heart. His teachings on speech are not just rules to follow, but a path to walk. In his wisdom, the Buddha provided us with a guide to communicate with mindfulness, compassion, and awareness. The beauty of his words wasn't in their complexity, but in their simplicity, their directness, and the purity of their intention. When we think of the Buddha's speech, we should first consider that he spoke only when it was necessary. How many times have you found yourself talking simply to fill silence, or speaking without truly thinking about what you were saying? The Buddha taught us that silence could be just as powerful, if not more so, than words. He often remained silent, not because he had nothing to say, but because he understood that sometimes silence is the truest form of wisdom. There's a deep peace in silence, a moment for reflection and inner understanding. When you feel the urge to speak, remember the Buddha's way. Is it necessary, kind, or helpful? If not, it might be best to remain silent. The Buddha's words were also always rooted in compassion. His speech was never harsh, never designed to hurt or diminish others. When he spoke, he did so with kindness, with an intention to relieve suffering. Take a moment to think about how you speak to others. Do your words help ease the pain of someone's heart? Do they encourage growth or build bridges? Or do they bring division and sadness? The Buddha once said, "Let the speech be a bridge of understanding." We have the opportunity every single day to either build a bridge or build a wall through the words we choose. And sometimes a bridge can be built with just a simple, well-chosen word. For example, when you're angry or frustrated, instead of lashing out, what if you took a moment to pause and say something calm? Imagine the difference it could make, not just to the person you're speaking to, but to yourself as well. The Buddha also spoke of right speech, one of the Eightfold Path principles. Right speech isn't just about saying the right things. It's about saying things that come from a place of truth, kindness, and harmony. It's about avoiding lies, gossip, and harsh words, which only serve to create confusion, hatred, and division. Think about the times you've spoken without thinking, when you've spread rumors or said something untrue. Were those words beneficial in any way? Did they add peace to the world? Or did they just make things harder for others and create more suffering? Right speech is also about avoiding speech that divides. The Buddha was not a man of division, but of unity. He saw that speech could create strong bonds or tear them apart. Words can make us feel like we belong, like we are heard, or they can isolate us and make us feel unimportant. Ask yourself, do the words I speak today make others feel included or excluded? Do they lift others up or push them away? One of the most beautiful aspects of the Buddha's speech was his deep understanding of the human condition. He spoke not only to those who were already enlightened, but also to those who were struggling, who were caught in the traps of desire, fear, and ignorance. His words were always accessible, filled with practical wisdom. When he spoke to his followers, he didn't use complex language or abstract ideas. Instead, he spoke directly to their hearts. This is something we can all learn from. How often do we complicate our words or use language to make ourselves seem more important or knowledgeable than we truly are? The Buddha's speech was humble, simple, and filled with truth. He didn't need to impress anyone. His only goal was to help others reach a higher state of peace and understanding. Another powerful teaching from the Buddha is his view on the purpose of speech. He did not believe in speaking simply for the sake of speaking, but for the benefit of others. When you speak, ask yourself, am I speaking to help, to heal, to teach, or to share something of value? If the answer is no, then perhaps it's best to stay silent. The Buddha's speech was also filled with patience. He did not rush to speak, and when he did speak, it was always measured. In today's world, we often speak too quickly, especially when we're in a rush or overwhelmed. How often do we speak before thinking, responding to a situation with our emotions rather than with careful thought? The Buddha's wisdom teaches us to slow down, to pause before we speak, and to ask ourselves if our words will bring peace or harm. One of the most striking qualities of the Buddha's speech was how he used words to inspire others to find their own wisdom. He didn't give direct answers to every question. Instead, he encouraged people to think for themselves, to reflect, and to cultivate their own understanding. When we speak, are we encouraging others to think critically, to reflect, and to discover the truth for themselves? Or are we simply telling them what to believe? The Buddha's wisdom also extended to the way he listened. He didn't just speak, but he listened with the same level of awareness and mindfulness that he spoke with. He truly understood the power of listening. Listening deeply, without judgment or distraction, is as much a part of communication as speaking. When you listen fully, you can understand the needs and struggles of others, and your words will come from a place of empathy and insight. In this way, the Buddha's speech was not just about the words he said, but also about the way he received the words of others. And finally, the Buddha's speech was always in alignment with his actions. There was no contradiction between what he said and what he did. His life was a living example of his teachings. This is an important reminder for all of us. Are we living in alignment with the words we speak? Or do we sometimes say things that we do not follow through on? The Buddha's words were always authentic because they came from a place of deep wisdom and genuine compassion. As we reflect on the Buddha's teachings on speech, we realize that every word we speak is an opportunity to create peace, harmony, and understanding. His words challenge us to ask ourselves, are we speaking in ways that are true, kind, and helpful? Are we speaking with patience, humility, and compassion? And most importantly, are we listening as deeply as we speak so that our words are informed by the wisdom of others? In a world where words can so easily be used to hurt, to divide, and to create conflict, the Buddhist speech offers a radical alternative. It reminds us that speech is not just about expressing ourselves, but about using our words as a tool to create a more peaceful, compassionate, and wise world. When we speak with the Buddha's wisdom in mind, we transform not just our own lives, but the lives of those around us. And in doing so, we walk a path of true enlightenment. Conclusion: transforming your voice into a path of wisdom. As we come to the end of this journey together, let's reflect on everything we've discussed. Think about how much power we carry with every word we speak. Every conversation, no matter how small, is an opportunity to either create harmony or stir conflict. Now that we've explored the wisdom of thinking twice before we speak, it's time to ask ourselves, how will we choose to use this power? Throughout this video, we've touched on the core principles of right speech as taught in Buddhism. We've learned how our words are not just sounds we make. They are expressions of our thoughts, emotions, and intentions. Every word we speak sends out ripples into the world, affecting not just others, but also ourselves. When we speak with intention, clarity, and compassion, we start to see a change in how we communicate, how others respond, and how we feel about ourselves. In Buddhism, the idea of right speech is deeply connected to the concept of mindfulness. It's not just about what we say, but how we say it and whether we say it at all. Sometimes, the wisest words are the ones we choose not to speak. Silence, after all, could be a powerful tool. Silence gives space for reflection, for understanding, and for a deeper connection with our inner selves. So what happens when we practice right speech every day? We start to notice a shift. Conversations become more meaningful. Relationships grow stronger. We develop a sense of peace within ourselves, because when our words are aligned with kindness, honesty, and compassion, we begin to live in a more authentic way. Our voice becomes a tool not for conflict or confusion, but for clarity, connection, and healing. But it's not easy. Changing the way we speak takes practice, patience, and self-awareness. Every time we feel the urge to speak, we need to pause and check our intentions. Why are we speaking? What is the purpose of our words? Are we trying to help, to encourage, to build, or to tear down? By asking ourselves these questions, we start to align our speech with our values, and that makes all the difference. As we reflect on our conversations, it's important to remember that we're not perfect. We will make mistakes. We will say things we regret. But the key is to acknowledge these moments, learn from them, and continue to strive for better. It's not about being flawless. It's about being mindful and striving to improve. In the same way we practice mindfulness in meditation, we can practice mindfulness in speech. Each conversation is an opportunity for growth. When we speak with compassion, we create a world where kindness flows freely. And in that world, we become better listeners as well. Right speech is not just about speaking. It's about listening with the same level of care, presence, and attention. Because when we listen deeply, we understand more clearly, and our words become more aligned with the truth. The teachings of Buddhism remind us that words have the power to both heal and harm. When we speak from a place of wisdom and kindness, we create harmony. When we speak from a place of ignorance or anger, we create suffering. It's that simple. Our speech can either be a source of peace or a source of pain, depending on how we choose to use it. This is where the practice of mindfulness comes into play. Mindfulness helps us become aware of our thoughts before they turn into words. It teaches us to pause before speaking, to check in with ourselves, and to ensure that what we say is aligned with our highest values. It's not about controlling our words. It's about choosing them wisely with awareness. The Buddha once said, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." When we speak, we have the opportunity to bring peace, understanding, and love into the world. Imagine how different the world would be if we all spoke with this intention in mind. It would be a world where words are used to uplift, to heal, and to connect, rather than to tear down, criticize, or judge. As we close this video, I invite you to take a moment and think about how you want your words to impact the world. Do you want to speak with wisdom, compassion, and clarity? Do you want to create harmony, foster understanding, and build strong, positive relationships? The choice is yours. But remember, it starts with awareness. It starts with thinking twice before you speak. In this journey of life, let your words be like a flowing river, gentle, calm, and always moving forward. May your speech reflect the kindness and wisdom within you. It may inspire others to speak with the same care and mindfulness. As you continue on this path, remember that every conversation is an opportunity to practice. Every word you speak is a reflection of who you are. And every time you pause, reflect, and choose your words with care, you take one more step toward becoming the best version of yourself. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I hope these teachings help you transform the way you communicate, bringing more peace and wisdom into your life and the lives of those around you. Stay mindful, stay kind, and remember, your words matter. Use them wisely